Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The topic of our discussion today is headache in pregnancy. First of all, I would like to tell you the key contents. Basically, I have made this presentation from the talk article about headache in pregnancy. Okay, so it would be better if you go through this whole video in few minutes time and then read the talk articles about headache, then you will have a very better understanding of the whole topics. And I will try that I share the MCQs related to headache topics in the community tab of this channel, World Class Obs and Gynae. Okay, so what are the key contents? First of all, headache in pregnancy and the postnatal periods are common and usually benign but can herald intracranial catastrophe. Okay, so usually it is a benign condition, but it can result in certain dangerous conditions. Now, assessment of headache in pregnancy is an essential skill for obstetricians and general practitioners. Now, pregnancy can alter migraine aura and may trigger attacks of aura without a headache. Headache may be the only symptom of cerebral venous thrombosis. If cerebral venous thrombosis is suspected, expert opinion should be sought and urgent brain imaging considered. Now, neurological conditions were the third most common cause of death and ahead of sepsis in confidential inquiry into maternal deaths in United Kingdom 2006 to 2008 report when considering direct and indirect causes. So, let's go through key points. Headache in pregnancy and postnatal periods are common and usually benign but can herald intracranial catastrophe. I have already explained it to you. Assessment of the headache in pregnancy is an essential skill for obstetrician and general practitioner, and pregnancy can alter migraine aura and may trigger attacks of aura without a headache. Okay, so headache may be the only symptoms of cerebral venous thrombosis. If cerebral venous thrombosis is suspected, expert opinion should be sought. Okay, so cerebral venous thrombosis is a very dangerous condition. Now, key causes of headache in pregnancy. In the talk article, this is a very important table. So in this table, we have two main classification of headache in pregnancy. One is primary headache and another is secondary headache. Okay, so basically the secondary headache means the headache due to certain other causes. Okay, and primary headache is having no other cause. So primary headache include migraine and tension headache. MT, you need to remember MT, migraine and tension headache. Now, secondary headache due to certain other causes include hypertension, first of all. As all of you know, hypertension in pregnancy is very common. Secondly, subarachnoid hemorrhage. In different exams, the question related to subarachnoid hemorrhage comes, and it is a very severe type of headache, usually occipital headache, and patient usually states that she never experienced this type of the headache before, means this is a very severe type of the headache. The severity of the pain is very high. Now, there are certain drugs as well which can cause headaches, like nifedipine, medication overdose. Okay, nifedipine is the drug which is calcium channel blocker used to treat hypertension, but it can cause the drug-related headache as well. Certain medication overdose can also cause the headache. Okay, now post-dural tab. Post-dural tab is done in certain cases, also in pregnancy. So that might cause the headache. Okay, like sometime epidural is given, spinal is given. In that case, the spinal headache is complained by the patient. Meningitis is another cause. Cerebral venous thrombosis, we will discuss it later. We will also discuss migraine, post-dural tab, and certain other conditions as well. But here is just the list. Anemia can also cause headache. That is also important point. Those patients who are severely anemic, they may complain of headache as well. Now, caffeine withdrawal can cause the headache. Those patients who are on excessive tea and coffee, their withdrawal symptoms can cause headache. Idiopathic cranial, intracranial hypertension, okay, stroke, AV malformation, can enlarge bleed in pregnancy, enlargement of the pituitary gland, enlargement of hormone sensitive tumor like meningioma. Okay, so these two, like enlargement of the pituitary, enlargement of the hormone sensitive tumor like meningioma, these are certain types of tumors in the brain that can cause the headache. Bleeding into pre existing tumor, so another point about tumor, and cerebral metastasis of choriocarcinoma. So the last 4 points are about certain types of the tumors, carcinomas. Okay, and AV malformation, stroke, intracranial hypertension. Basically, you have to remember all this table. Okay. Now, box number 3 is about the red flag features for potential secondary hypertension. So, patient usually comes with a secondary hypertension. She may complain of certain features, like red flag features, like those may include thunderclap. Secondly, focal neurological symptom. Thunderclap type of the headaches, or this is a type of the feature in which there is a rapid time to peak headache intensity, second to 5 minutes, for example with the subarachnoid hemorrhage, or there is focal neurological symptoms like limb weakness or of less than 5 minutes or more than 1 hour. Okay, and we may have non-focal neurological symptoms like cognitive disturbance, okay, seen in the cerebral venous thrombosis. We may have change in the headache frequency characteristics or associated symptoms. We may have abnormal neurological examination. We may have headache that change with the posture, a sign of high or low CSF, and headache awakening the patient associated with migraine and raised intracranial pressure. We may have headache precipitated by physical exertion or Valsalva maneuvers. In that case, we have to consider subarachnoid hemorrhage or raised intracranial pressure. Okay, patients with the risk factors for CVT. Okay, we may have jaw claudication or visual disturbance associated with giant cell arteritis in a woman over 50 years of the age. We may have fever. Okay, whenever there's fever, we should consider meningitis. We can have neck stiffness indicative of meningeal irritation. We may have new onset of the headache in patients with a history of HIV infection. We may have no new onset headache in patient with a history of cancer. So these are all red flag features for potential secondary hypertension. Now, post-dural headache. In post-dural headache, the punctate of dura occurs in 0.5 to 2.5% of durals, epidurals. Puncture of dura occurs in 0.5 to 2.5%. Okay, whenever we apply epidural, in 0.5 to 2.5% of the cases, puncture of the dura may occur. Now, if accidental dural punctures occur with epidural needle, there is 70 to 80% chance of post-dural puncture headache. Okay, so whenever there is dural puncture, there is a chance of 70 to 80% that there is post-dural puncture headache. Now, the headache is usually in the fronto-occipital region and radiates to the neck. Okay, in the frontal headache, in the frontal area, in the occipital region, we may have headache and that goes to the neck. It is characteristically worse on standing and typically develops 24 to 48 hours post puncture. Now, conservative management includes hydration and simple analgesics. If left untreated, the headache typically lasts for 7 to 10 days but can last up to 6 weeks. Now, what is the treatment? Epidural patch has 60 to 90% cure rate. Okay, the important things are that typically last for 7 to 10 days but can last up to 6 weeks. You need to remember that. Okay, so this is the picture in which, in case of the raised intracranial pressure or in case of the severe hypertension, these are the certain changes which can be seen on retinoscopy. Okay, now diagnostic criteria for headache attributed to preeclampsia or eclampsia. Okay, point number A, headache in women who is pregnant or in puerperum fulfilling criteria C. Now, preeclampsia or eclampsia has been diagnosed. Evidence of causation demonstrated by at least two of the following. First of all, headache has developed in temporal relation to the onset of preeclampsia or eclampsia. Second point is that either or both of the following, headache has significantly worsened in parallel with worsening of the eclampsia, preeclampsia or eclampsia. B point is that headache has significantly improved or resolved in parallel with improvement or resolution of eclampsia or preeclampsia or eclampsia. Number third point is that headache has at least two of these features. First of all, bilateral location, secondary pulsating quality, and third is it is aggravated by physical activity. Point number D is it is not better accounted for by another ICHD3 diagnosis. Now, coming to cerebral venous thrombosis, we have EMQ or SPA related to this topic as well. Okay, pregnancy is recognized risk factor for uncommon but catastrophic event of cerebral venous thrombosis, perhaps as a result of prothrombotic changes and dehydration. Cesarean section, systemic infection, vomiting, and anemia increase the risk. The greatest risk period is third trimester and the first 4 weeks postpartum. Now, headache is the most frequently 80 to 90% occurring symptom in cerebral venous thrombosis and often the first symptom reported by the patient. Now, other clinical manifestation present at onset or developing during the course of the disease. These includes papilloedema, focal deficit, altered consciousness, seizures, and cranial nerve signs, in particular diplopia caused by sixth nerve palsy. Now, psychosis in conjunction with the focal neurological signs has also been reported. The development of the symptoms may occur over hours, days, or even weeks. MRV is imaging modality of choice. This is also SBA, not CT, as sensitivity is only 30%. So MRV of cerebral venous thrombosis is shown here. Now, how would you manage a case of cerebral venous thrombosis? When cerebral venous thrombosis is suspected, prompt referral to neurologist is advised, and treatment usually includes the anticoagulation with the low molecular weight heparin. Should be continued typically for 6 months. And if there is neurological deterioration or coma despite the medical treatment, then further management can include the endovascular therapy. Compared with the patients with a CVT unrelated to pregnancy, CVT associated with the pregnancy and puerperum tends to have a better outcome with a lower mortality rate. A follow-up of MRV at 3 to 6 months after diagnosis is suggested to assess for recanalization of occluded cortical vein sinus. CVT is not contraindication for future pregnancies, but women should be counseled that they are at risk of further venous thrombotic events and will require prophylaxis with low molecular weight heparin during pregnancy and postpartum. Okay. Now, this is the MRI picture of cerebral venous thrombosis. Now, key points imaging of the head in pregnancy. The accepted background cumulative dose of ionizing radiation during pregnancy is 50 mg. Okay, and fetal exposure for computerized CT scan of the head is estimated to be less than 0.05 mg. MRI should be avoided in the first trimester because of the potential hazards of hyperthermia and acoustic noise, but MRI remains preferable to any studies using ionizing radiation. Now, contrast media based on the element iodine should be avoided in a pregnancy unless essential. If iodinated contrast media are used, the neonatal thyroid functions should be checked. Gadolinium based contrast agents appear to be safe in pregnancy. Lactating women who receive iodinating iodinated contrast or gadolinium can continue breastfeeding without interruption. Now, coming to the topic of migraine. Migraine is usually unilateral, pulsating, builds over minutes to hour, moderate to severe in intensity, and associated with nausea or vomiting, or sensitivity to light or sensitive to sound, disabling, aggravated by routine physical activities. Now, what's about posterior reversible encephalopathy syndrome? Posterior reversible encephalopathy syndrome is a clinical neuroradiological entity associated with preeclampsia. It is characterized by headache, vomiting, visual disturbance, seizures, and altered mental state, with the radiological findings of edema in posterior circulation of the brain in MRI. Now, cluster headache. Cluster headache is unilateral, often around the eye, severe or very severe on the same side as headache, red or watery eye, nasal congestion or runny nose, swollen eyelid, forehead and facial sweating, and constricted pupil and or drooping eyelid. Now, what about idiopathic or benign intracranial hypertension? This is a disease of the young woman associated with increased BMI. This is characterized by increased intracranial pressure in the absence of intracranial pathology and is thought to be secondary to either decreased production or decreased reabsorption of the CSF. It usually presents in the first half of pregnancy, and symptoms are usually of the shorter duration in pregnancy. Symptoms include headache, which can occur daily and is typically a throbbing headache behind the eyes. Visual disturbances, usually transient, permanent deficit in acuity, including blindness, have been reported in 5 to 10% of the cases. Nausea, vomiting, and symptoms are usually worse in the early morning. Now, management includes monitoring of the visual fields and visual acuity because of the risk of optic nerve infarction, and women should be encouraged to limit weight gain, and treatment with therapeutic lumbar puncture or acetazolamide 500 mg twice daily is directed towards the improving the headache and preventing visual loss. Okay, thank you so much. That was something about the headache in pregnancy. I will gather MCQs related to this topic and will try to make another presentation if I find time. Otherwise, I usually share MCQ on daily basis in this channel, and you can go to the community section of this channel and find all those different obs and gynae MCQs. Okay, thank you so much. Allah Hafiz.